Oh, I mean, I love where I live. I love the neighborhood I'm at. My girls are at that same Christian academy type school that I grew up in. So everything just seems to fall into place. I don't miss the Southern California weather, to be honest. I mean, it's not like I lived at the beach. I lived close to the desert. So, you know, everything just kind of fell into place here. Being in the Kansas City area, I love the big city. I don't. Well, I shouldn't say I love it. I mean, I love Kansas City as one of the big cities. I grew up despising the big city. I grew up not liking LA. I mean, I can appreciate it now when I go back and visit, but um, the seasons change. I like it. It makes me appreciate the weather more. I mean, it's so funny. I used to think talking about the weather in California was such a silly small talk. Here, it's actually a big deal, and I find myself talking about it every day. So everything just kind of fell into place here. There are a lot of good tennis players here. There's a lot of good tennis. I was definitely surprised about that. Um, so aside from the club and the tennis, I definitely like the area, and as far as I know, I'm here to stay.
I like that answer. So, in my class, we talked about trying to find a career. Of course, that's kind of the reason for this interview, to kind of get some feel for what I want to do once I leave college. And then a guest speaker came in and she explained to us that there's different reasons why you pick a career. One of which would be the salary. There's prestige, the location of your job, the schedule, the education behind it, and growth. For example, like some jobs might require a whole bunch of hours, some do not. Some pay a whole lot more, some do not. There's some jobs are more prestigious. You can kind of go, hey, I'm ABC of XYZ, and kind of have a sense of pride about it. Some people decide to pick a job depending on how close it is to their home, depending on how, however they feel fit. And growth within it. Some jobs allow you to grow within the company, move up the corporate ladder or whatnot, and other jobs do not. And not saying that any job or career is good or bad, depending on how they fall with these categories. But with these categories, how do you feel, or which do you feel were the most important, and why you chose the pros of those few versus the cons of the others?
Well, I went straight into, first of all, the tennis side was the easy way out. I knew I could make money doing tennis, teaching lessons to start. I mean, I could do it at a very young age because I knew people would want the lessons. And it was just easy for me. I'd already taught a little bit, even as a 16, 17-year-old, doing summer camps in high school locally. So that was an easy way out. What I ended up doing, at first I started because of the money. And my dad, being a pediatrician, I thought, okay, I'll be a doctor. He's doing fine. We're doing fine as a family. I'm going to do that. Well, my first semester at Fresno State quickly got me out of that. My mind just didn't work around science. I did not like it. It was easy to decide that I wasn't smart at something when it was really the real thing is if I didn't enjoy something, I wouldn't focus on it. And when I wouldn't focus on it, I'd have a hard time in the class. Which my advice to everybody is always read ahead before going to class, because even if the subject is boring, if you hear somebody talking about something that you may know a little bit about, all of a sudden you're engaged. And that said, and again, I'm going to jump around here, when I went to Fire Academy as a 29-year-old, something else I tried to pursue later on in life, I was able to sit through a 10-hour EMS course, emergency medical services, no problem, on Sundays from 8 to 6. And I was engaged all the way to the very last hour. So I wish I would have had that as a kid. Then I think I would have probably broadened my horizons as to what I wanted to do. But the only problem was I was only into one thing in school. The only thing that mattered to me was math. Again, like I said, very immature. And so with the math, kind of led me, I didn't want to be a math teacher. So it eventually led me to going back to what my grandfather did and just wanted to be in business. So, but again, business as a degree is one thing. Business, having your own business is another thing. So in the end, I ended up doing what I wanted to do. I found a way that I could do the tennis because first it was the easy way out, but then I figured I wanted to do it. But by the time I was in Florida, I was enjoying it. And when I came back, and for sure when I was in Kansas City, I was enjoying it. But the other thing that I didn't talk about was my other passion was revolved around cars. And so when I graduated with this degree, the things that were being offered to me I didn't want to do. It was, assistant manager or manager at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I remember it was Pacific Bell, which is the phone company on the West Coast, things of that nature. And all I wanted to do was drive fast cars, get some race cars, and so then why not write for some car magazines? And so I opened up my favorite car magazine and realized they were in Anaheim, California, which is about 45, 50 miles away from my house. And I just counted them for 4 months until I got an interview and an internship. And that kind of opened up the other half of my life, which I still do to this day, is I still write for car magazine. In fact, I'm going to put one out today real quick after the call. But so it's kind of funny when I went back to my 20-year high school reunion, and everybody, our town was built around a big hospital. Everybody's in the healthcare, and if they're not a doctor, they're at the very least physical therapist. And come to which I remember thinking in Fresno, I'm not going to do doctor. I'm going to do sports medicine because I like sports, but much more science. Didn't like it. So going back to my 20-year high school reunion started, it's kind of funny just to be able to tell people, well, what are you doing now? And I'm just like, well, I'm just still in the cars and tennis. It's what I do. But it was great because I was able to create a life around it, and it's just very flexible. And luckily it puts food on the table. So at the very first, it was all about money, and that really didn't work for me, which is why I didn't do the medicine or anything like that. And so then I just realized if you do what you love, you're not working a day of your life. I didn't make that up. That was told to me. You may have heard it before, but that's very, very true. If you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Coach Pablo was my tactic and technique coach. He motivated me. He inspired me. Again, he was a very big component for me to reach my personal dreams of becoming the collegiate tennis player I am today. I love him, I thank him, and I'm grateful for him. He was my coach. But I really wondered, how did he define a word that is so commonly used? What does it mean to Coach Pablo to be a coach?
All right. To kind of close this up, I have a few more questions about coaching entirely. So you was talking how, you'd done some coaching at 16 and 17 and kind of maybe in spots here and there as you were growing up, right? How would you define coaching?
Let's see here. For me, coaching is figuring out first what your client wants, and then helping he or she get there. You basically see how do I put this? You pretty much find out what your client wants, and you help them get there, if not surpass certain expectations. Mutually, you both figure out what a destination is going to be, what the goal is going to be, and then my job is to show them and establish a path toward that destination. And then it's up to me to make sure that they stay on that path, whether we're walking on it or whether we're running in it. That's going to be, that's going to depend on how much time and effort they're going to put themselves. But my job is to make sure that they don't, because that's what we're all good at. We say we want to do something, and then we just kind of stray away. Once we figure out what we really want, my job is to make sure you stay on that path and to move as quickly as possible, given the time I work with the individual. So it's all about the client. It's not about me. It's about getting them what they want. And the coaching part of it is to keep them on that path. And there are many different ways to do that, whether it's in tennis, whether it's technique. You always have to coach technique. I have to coach tactics. I have to coach problem solving, which is either how to compete against the opponent, how to compete against, not have to compete against yourself, focusing on the other side of the net, not worrying about what you've got, that day. If something's not working, not focusing on that. It's just giving it your all, and figuring out how to make the opponent uncomfortable, so to speak, instead of worrying about your discomfort. Once I coach them into being okay with the fact that life's not going to be easy, tennis is not going to be easy, you're not going to have, so many days where everything's working, now I can actually coach you on how to work with the weapons you've got that day and be okay with it.
Throughout this interview, I went over all the glorious features of being a director of tennis. Now, I understand it's going to be a hard road to travel, but again, I think it's going to be something I can be proud of, something that's going to help me improve in my personal life, and something that's going to be fun. But as I emailed Coach about the more nitty-gritty of the position, such as pay, I'm not entirely sure I want to pursue this career. So, am I going to be a professional tennis coach? Or a tennis coach alone? I don't know. But we'll find out.